Hey everyone, Happy New Year. It's Wednesday the 1st. Got a pretty good video for you today. Not a ton of content, but, well, there's a good amount of content, but not, I'm going to be highlighting three albums. Two of which are happily in my collection. The third is in my collection, but probably looking to move it, but still want to showcase it because it's amazing. And you can only have so many copies of these things. So trying to thin out the herd, get some doubles on out, and move forward. But let's start with this first one. And man, was I blown away by this. This is Rockin Horse, and it's called Yes It Is. The band is Rockin Horse, and basically this is Jimmy Campbell and Billy Kinsley, and they were part of like the 60s mod scene. They're both from Liverpool, so of course, the Beatles were certainly high up on their list. And it really does show on this 1971 album. Certainly would never know. To me it sounds like late 60s for sure. It does have that early 70s element there, but mostly, very, very Beatlesque, very Badfinger, and those are two bands you just can't go wrong with. This is just outstanding. This was recommended to me. I forgot who recommended it, but and I went in to listen to it. I'm like, Jesus, where has this been? And how in the world have I not heard of this? I know it's fairly obscure, but it was released on the Philips label, so I'm sure a pretty good amount were pressed. But there's the Philips, the black Philips label with the silver type, Rocking Horse. Jimmy Campbell also released quite a few solo pieces. One of them's up on my wall there. Jimmy Campbell Half Baked right there, which is also very good. And doesn't carry the massive price tag that the Rocking Horse album tends to carry. But just a little information on this. Certainly recommended if you like Paul McCartney, John Lennon, the Beatles, Badfinger in a big way. There's even the band. I hear a bit of the band's influence on some of the tracks here. It's kind of like an evil twin of Let It Be. Really, it's like an extension of Let It Be. So If you were to be blindfolded and no one told you what you were listening to, you might swear you're listening to some Beatles outtakes from the Let It Be, like Abbey Road sessions. So, but definitely more Let It Be than Abbey Road for sure. The soundstage on this too is really wide. Great extension on the top and the bottom. Just your typical beautiful sounding, tubey magical UK pressing. Clearly cut from the master tapes. You can really tell this is just has a phenomenal soundstage to it. Laminated, fragile yet laminated sleeve. You can see they're kind of hard to get in decent condition. I would say this sleeve, it was graded to me when I got it as a VG Plus, but I would call it more of a VG because of some creasing right in here. If it didn't have this creasing, maybe I can get to the VG Plus, but it's got stress creases along here and so forth. But the vinyl is near mint, and it sounds it. There's zero, the noise floor is nice. There's no crackle, no pops. Just really, really clean sounding. Some outstanding tracks here. I mean, one of them I want to highlight. The last one on the album, written by Kingsley, Julian the Hooligan, just brings to mind that whimsical Beatlesque sound that John Lennon brought with songs like "I Am the Walrus." Very much reminiscent of Bulldog as well, which I believe is also a Lennon track from the Yellow Submarine soundtrack, which is such an underrated album, by the way. And Bulldog is just an underrated song. Not enough people talk about it. But yeah, so if you're into Badfinger, the Beatles, of course Lennon and McCartney, please check out Rockin Horse. Yes, it is. And then by extension, Jimmy Campbell's solo albums. He has a couple really good ones. One in the late '60s, and then Half Baked is my favorite one from Jimmy. So great stuff. All right. Next up, I want to talk about this. Gary Wilson. And it's called "You Think You Really Know Me." And there's just a documentary done on this individual. This is his very first release back in 1977. And here, let's pop it open so you can see. Now I do have a repress of this as well. This is a private pressing. The repress is quite different. They did it in like a foil, like a silver foil and a gold foil. I think I have a gold foil up there behind me. The original press was not done in foil, but the back artwork is completely different on this original pressing. So originally, and I'll show you here the labels. This is a great example of it too. There you go. Originally, there was 300 of these pressed, but Gary said there was another 300 pressed after the fact to make it 600 total back in 1977. Everything's the same between the two. He claims there's not one that's a first or a second pressing. They're both first original pressings. They were done pretty much right away with the same plates and everything. And they had the sleeves already done. So really cool. I love the back too, how he's kind of, it looks naked, but I might have some underwear on, but there's, all kinds of tape wrapped around him, recording tape. So pretty cool. Definitely a bizarre individual. If you watch the documentary, which I have seen now twice, you will take that away for sure. There were certainly some champions of this album and this artist back in the day. I know there's some individuals that worked at Other Music in New York, which is now out of business, but they were really trumpeting this. And Motel Records I think they did the very first repress, and they were constantly selling out at that one record shop in New York. So, and kind of just built from there, just kind of grew from there. So what does it sound like? Well, I've got some notes here because I'm horrible with my memory. But first of all, the bass work on this is amazing. The recording is amazing. You'd never know this was done in a basement on, I think, an Ampex 4-track. So you just never know it. It sounds amazing. I'm surprised Gary Wilson didn't go into engineering and producing himself after this. He just kind of got away and moved to California after this from New York, Endicott, New York, that is, which is where he's from. But recorded in his basement. The bass work on this is just phenomenal. The guitar soloing when it happens is great. I would call this avant-guard composition, jazz, pop, and agitated noise. That's kind of where I'm at with this. And if that sounds like something you can't get into, believe me, if you don't get into this in the first listen to it again and again. It took me, the first time I heard this, I liked it, but I didn't love it. I had trouble with his vocals. I had trouble with some of the lyrics, obviously, but the musicianship and the songs themselves are super catchy and cool, and there's a ton of replay value on it. But let me tell you, when I listened, I came back to it, and then I came back to it again and again and again, and now I just can't get away from it. It's just, I think it's amazing. Just a little bit on the tracks here. So the first track on here, Another Time I Could Have Loved You, is basically free jazz, agitated noise, which I'm a big fan of. So I love noise rock, and when it's done on like a pop album like this, or like an alt pop album, it throws it over the top for me because it adds replay value. It's just different. And then it jumps into the next track. It's a short 1 minute and 21 second track. Then it jumps into You Keep On Looking, which is like, a 2 minute track that everyone just loves. It's super catchy. It's the first proper track on here, if you want to call it that, with vocals and so forth. And then jumps into this proto synth pop, 6.4 equals makeout, which thing, the lyrics are just stupid, but it's just so catchy. And if I was to give you a comparison in what he sounds like, if you've ever heard of LCD Sound System, that's kind of what his vocals remind me of, is the vocalist from LCD Sound System. So that's kind of, a good comparison there. And the next track, When You Walk Into My Dreams, a 2 minute and 41 second track, really ends with this amazing guitar solo that would have, the boys in Steely Dan and Larry Carlton kind of drooling, because it kind of reminds me of a Steely Dan solo at the end of this track. It's just so good, and really brings that to mind. And then it goes into Loneliness, which is more agitated noise pop. It's an instrumental, but there's like found sounds in there, like water. There's radio, scree, we'll call it, over a demented Mr. Rogers-like melody. And the sound of the keys is very Mr. Rogers to me, which is just, it's so demented, it's cool. It's just, you have to hear it to believe it. And that track is Loneliness. And then side one ends with a great electro-pop song, Cindy. And then side B opens with You Were Too Good to Be True, a 2 minute instrumental that's really excellent and very catchy. And then that jumps into Groovy Girls Make Love at the Beach, which is one of my favorite songs on here. And it has this breakdown in the bridge with kids singing, actual kids he brought in to sing this part, and it's just really cool and it's catchy. And then that goes into I Want to Lose Control, which is like the big hit on here. It's a pop shuffle, for sure. Complete with cowbell at the end, I wrote down. I didn't remember that. A good thing I wrote it down, but it does have a cowbell in it. Then that goes into the title track, You Really Think You Know Me, which is John Cage inspired, free jazz for sure, with plenty of found sounds. So if you love that mixed in with your pop, this album has it all. And then Chromium Bitch, which is like a slow jam, and then it ends with And Then I Kissed Your Lips, which is like a washed out or a whacked out Doobie Brothers song. It even has a lick in there that kind of is very Doobies to me, or Michael McDonald, but it's just cool. It's different. So yeah, if you haven't heard Gary Wilson, You Really Think You Know Me, check it out and then give it more than one try. Listen to it all the way through. Don't skip anything, and I guarantee you're going to come back to it. You're going to be thinking about it, and you're going to come back to it. I think there is an insert in here. Yep, let's see if I can show you that. So there's two inserts. One is the lyrics, and then another is of Gary with like his address and to all his girlfriends. So, which apparently he didn't have many, I guess. So I don't know. Anyways, yeah. So that's Gary Wilson, You Really Think You Know Me. Original pressing, 600 of those pressed. If you find one at a reasonable price, get it. The repress sounds fine, but if you're an avid collector of fine private pressings, you're going to want that one. And then speaking of private pressings, last but not least, this is a double for me, so I am selling it. The beauty here is it's just absolutely pristine. Both copies I have are pristine. There's really no difference between the two. This one is in the shrink, as you can see, just beautiful. Now, if you haven't heard this album. This was released in 1976. Yeah, 76. Very limited. Didn't sell well. Not too many were pressed. I don't know how many were pressed, but I would imagine less than 500 are out there. This is the one with the green boxes. It's in the shrink, but you can see the green boxes in there. There was one without green boxes. I guess maybe 100 of those were pressed, but this does have the green boxes if anyone's wondering. But yeah, this is, if you like acid folk, acid psych, if you like a little bit of the Grateful Dead, the period of the Grateful Dead, like American Beauty, Grateful Dead, mixed with some, really good flower power, acid folk. This is right up your alley. The vocals are fantastic, by the way. Let me show you the actual record labels. There's that Pacific IS label there. And yeah, this is a really beautiful gem mint, sounds mint, looks mint. I'm going to caution you on these two, and especially if you wanted one and you see, like, I don't know, anytime you see one of these sealed, don't buy it. Don't buy it sealed. And the reason I say that is because the actual artist has gone on record, Phil Pearlman, has gone on record to say that of the amount that were pressed, like, I think he said like half of them were warped. So they had to toss a bunch away, and then, a bunch were warped, and they ended up in circulation, warped. And he had to replace them because he was selling them, and he didn't know they were warped, and they were coming back, so he had to replace them. But so those ended up either getting tossed, or I don't know what happened to those, but some of them are still out in circulation. So you never want to buy this sealed. All right, so make sure, if you want a pristine one like this, great, but make sure it's not sealed because of that issue. And this does come with an insert, I believe. Let me see if I can show you that. But yeah, if you like country rock with a side of acid, this is certainly right up your alley. There's the insert, basically a picture of the band, the three of them, relatively clean rivers. Love this album cover too. It's kind of bright, very, very 70s for sure. Not sure if that's Phil Pearlman or what. I don't know. It looks like a rock, but clearly there's glasses on that rock. But not a huge fan of that part of this. Kind of ruins the aesthetic of the actual artwork. I wish this was like gone. But yeah, some of my favorite tracks on here. Number 1, Easy Ride. That's a no-brainer. There are a few instrumentals on here that are pretty cool as well. But yeah, Easy Ride is probably my favorite track on here, among a few others. So, but yeah, anyone interested in this, just reach out on the side, and maybe we can work something out. But yeah, another winner here. So today's been kind of like 2 private presses and 1 on Philips, which I highly recommend as well. But anyways, thanks for watching. I'll try to drop some more content here real soon. But appreciate everyone. If you like what you see and hear, please hit that notification bell. Please subscribe. Please comment. I try to answer every comment. And certainly if there's anything factually that I missed, let me know. Because I'm always learning here as well. I don't know everything about music and these albums. So it's always good to learn from other people as well. But hope everyone has a great start to their new year, 2025, and we'll talk to you soon. Cheers.